Thomas Jefferson was the third president of the United States of America. From 1801 to 1809, he was the principal author of the Declaration of Independence, and he oversaw major events in his presidency, including the Louisiana Purchase of 1803 and the Lewis and Clark Expedition from 1804 to 1806. As a political philosopher, Jefferson was a man of the Enlightenment, and knew many intellectual leaders in Britain and France. He distrusted cities and financiers, and favored states' rights and a strictly limited federal government. Jefferson supported the separation of church and state, and was the author of the Virginia Statute for Religious Freedom. Thomas Jefferson was born on the 13th of April, 1743, the third of 8 children. His mother was Jane Randolph. Jefferson's father was Peter Jefferson, a planter and surveyor who owned plantations in Albemarle Country. At the age of 9, Jefferson began studying Latin, Greek, and French. In 1757, when he was 14 years old, his father died. Jefferson inherited about 5,000 acres of land and dozens of slaves. He built his home there, which eventually became known as Monticello.
Jefferson practiced law and served in the Virginia House of Bourgeoisie, and in 1774, Thomas Jefferson was appointed by the Continental Congress of the United Colonies in his place as the Committee of Five's chairman to prepare a draft of the proposed Declaration of Independence. Congress also chose John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Robert Livingston, and Roger Sherman. The committee assigned Thomas Jefferson the task of producing a draft declaration for its consideration. So therefore Jefferson was considered to be the primary author of the Declaration. In September 1776, he returned to Virginia, and he was elected the new Virginia House of Delegates. Two. During his term in the House, Jefferson set out to reform and update Virginia's system of laws to reflect its new statute as a democratic state.
Jefferson served as governor of Virginia from 1779 to 1781. As governor, he oversaw the transfer of the state capital from Williamsburg to the more central location of Richmond in 1780. He continued to advocate educational reforms at the College of William and Mary, including the nation's first student policy honor code. As the Republican candidate in 1796, he lost to John Adams, but had enough electoral votes to become vice president. From 1797 to 1801, working closely with Aaron Burr of New York, Jefferson rallied his party, attacking the new taxes especially, and stood for the presidency in 1800.
Now, Thomas Jefferson's daddy died when he was only 14 years old, and then suddenly, boy finds him faced with a whole bunch of responsibilities. He had to take care of his mama and all his siblings, and then he has all this land that his daddy left for him for some reason. I don't know why, but either way, it's significant because he's learning all this crazy responsibility at such a young age. It helped him overcome many problems he would face. In the White House, negotiating and stuff, so.
The most important moment during the presidency of Thomas Jefferson was the Louisiana Purchase, which was an acquisition by the United States of 8,028 square miles of French territory in 1803, the cost being 60 million francs. The land purchase contained all of present-day Arkansas, Missouri, Iowa, Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, parts of Minnesota that were south of the Mississippi River, most of North Dakota, nearly all of South Dakota, northeastern Mexico, Texas, northern Texas, the portions of Montana, Wyoming, and Colorado east of the Continental Divide, Louisiana on both sides of the Mississippi River, including the city of New Orleans. In addition, the Poitras contained small portions of land that would eventually become part of the Canadian provinces of Alberta and Saskatchewan. The land that they purchased was about 23% territory of the United States today. That's a very big number, as you can see here. So, the reason this was so important was because if had he not purchased all this, I mean, he felt very uncomfortable that the French owned so much of this country. Had he not purchased it, who knows? We'd be a much smaller country today. Thomas Jefferson died on the 4th of July, 1826, the 50th anniversary of the adoption of the Declaration of Independence. This happened to be the same day as John Adams' death. Although he was born into one of the wealthiest families in the United States, Thomas Jefferson was deeply in debt when he died. All of his possessions were sold at auction.
Here was buried Thomas Jefferson, author of the Declaration of Independence, of the Statue of Virginia for Religious Freedom, and father of the University of Virginia.
Thus was written upon Thomas Jefferson's tombstone. Thomas Jefferson has been described by many people as a thin, tall man who stood at approximately 6 feet and remarkably straight. Until the end of time, Americans will always hold in their hearts the achievements that Thomas Jefferson made for the United States of America. He is, and always will be, in the eyes of the millions, an all-American hero.